Python exceptional handling. So in the previous lecture we discussed the syntax error. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
So we discussed syntax error. We discussed exceptions. Then we discussed assert statement in the Python. The difference between the assert and the if. And we discussed assert statement without any message. Assert statement with some message. Then we discussed a try and accept. Okay, we discussed system module, import system sys, and using that system we can print the exception. So sys.exe underscore info bracket and square bracket 0. So using this we can print the class of the error. Okay, after that we discussed exception class. So all the exceptions are inherit from the exception base class. So that we discussed yesterday as well. And after that we discussed how to mention a specific exception in the except clause. First thing. Second thing, so we can have any number of except clause with a single try clause. So a single try clause can have more than one except clause to handle different exceptions. And we can have more than one exceptions with a single except clause. So using the tuple of value to specify multiple exceptions. The example is here. The try one exception, second exceptions, third exceptions. In the second exceptions, instead of having one exception, we are having multiple except statement, multiple. Okay, and these are the specific one. So except value error, except type error, zero division error. Okay. So yesterday we discussed this. This is okay. We can continue further. Okay. हाँ yes.
सर आप पहले टॉपिक दे दो असाइनमेंट के लिए.
Oh, okay. After the class, I will give you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after the class, I will give you. Okay. So now next is the try, accept, else, and finally in Python. Okay. So till now we discussed try and accept. Now this time try, accept, else, and finally. 4 clause. Okay. So what is in the try clause? This block will test the exception error to occur. Okay. So the code that we think that there may be some exceptions, we will keep that code in the try clause. Okay. Except here you can handle the error. That these two things we discussed. Now next is we can use else statement. If there is no exceptions, then this block will be executed. So if there is no exceptions, then we can make sure that if you want to execute some particular block of code. So this one. Take a try, accept, else, and finally block will always execute. Finally block always get executed, either exception is generated or not. Okay. So if there is no exception, then else block will be executed. And finally will always executed whether there is an exception or there is no exception. Okay. So try, accept, else, and finally. Clear? So I will go over the syntax as well. So you can see the syntax is here. In the try block we have some code. Okay. In the accept we have some blocks. Yeah, I think this is visible. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So what I am saying is that you try. We have some code, accept some code, else some code, finally some code. Okay. So this code will always execute. This section of a statement will always execute. Else execute if no exceptions. If there is no exception, then this will block of code will execute. Okay, and try and accept that we discussed in the earlier program. So this is the syntax. Okay, if this syntax is okay, then we have this program. And just let me know the purpose of this program and what will be the just a minute, I will zoom now. So just tell me the purpose of this program. Yeah, so what is the purpose of this program? Say, coming to this point, come here. So we are having A and B two inputs. A and B two inputs. Yeah. And we are using a function divide A comma B. Yeah. So this divide A comma B is here. Okay. So X will be your A value and Y will be your B value. Okay. Now, so in case of division, X, there may be the case that if Y is 0, then exception is occurred. Okay. So for this problem, we have written this section of code in the try clause because this there can be exceptions. So result is equals to X division by y, or you can say the integer division. So X divide by y. Okay, so this is in the try clause. Now in the except clause, zero division error. So if there is an error, so this except clause will execute. Sorry, you are dividing by 0. Else, if there is no exception, then this statement will execute and then else statement will execute. So division is and then the result. What is the result? And finally, this will always execute. Okay. So now suppose you are giving input 3 and therefore that means A is equals to 3 and then B is equals to 2. Okay. So now what will be the output? If A is equals to 3 and B is equals to 2, so this result will become what? 3 upon 2. There is no division error. So it will go in the else statement and it will print what? Division is, first is result is equals to 3, 2, and then it will go else statement and it will give you the output division is and then this output. Okay. After that, the finally, so this is always executed. So this statement will print. You can write anything, whatever you want here. So this is always executed. Clear? So this one is clear. This section of code is clear. With the input 3 comma 2, what will be the output? Hello. Okay, so I'm going to show you in the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so this one. Okay, so see, we are running this one. So 3 and then 2. So this will be your output. Okay, this is fine. Hello.
It's me, sir.
Yes.
So what we have discussed in the last 15 minutes, because someone has come in my bed and removed it, so I'm asking you.
No one can remove you except me.
I'm saying someone has come on my lab, so I have to.
Okay,
So that's
okay, okay, okay. So
what
we
we
are
have discussed in 15 minutes.
okay. We are discussing this topic. Try, accept, else, and finally. So try, accept, else, finally. This is the syntax here. Okay. So try and accept similar as discussed in the earlier class, and accept clause will execute when there is no exception, and finally clause will execute. It will execute it always, whether there is an exception or not. So these two are the additionals in the try and accept. The example is here. We have created a function divide x comma y. In the try, we have written result equals to x divided by y. In the accept, we have written zero division error and print statement. Else, we have written the results, and finally we have written some message. Okay. Now I am giving the input a is equals to 3, b is equals to 2, and we are calling the function divide a comma b, that is 3 comma 2. So it will give you result 3 upon 2, that is 1. So there is no exception, so else statement will be executed. So this will be the your output. Division is result is 3 upon 2, that is 1. So you are having the output division is 1, and this statement will be printed. Okay. Now next time I'm giving the input 3 comma 0. Okay. So my input is a is equals to 3 and b is equals to 0. So what is result? Is equals to 3. Yes or no? So this will be what? This is a zero division error. Zero division error. Okay. So if this is a zero division error, then else statement will not execute. Else statement will not execute. Okay. So you will have this output. Sorry, you are dividing by 0. This is except clause. This highlighted one. It is visible. Clear? So when b is equal b is 0, you are having exception, zero division error. So this exception is catched here, and you are having this message. Sorry, you are dividing by 0, and then finally will always execute. Clear? So we discussed try, catch, else, and finally. Okay, so program we already discussed here. We can see here a is equals to 3, b is equals to 0, and you can see the output here. This is the output. This. Okay, clear? Okay. Okay, so I have one more program for you. So just let me know the purpose of this program. So we are having two lists. First list we are having hello from the two strings, then two integers, and then third strings, and the second input is this. Second list is this. Okay? And there is one function add list, and in this I am passing something. Okay? And if is instance IP list, So just look at this program, just tell me the purpose or what output it will give you. What output it will give you. Hello. Okay, no response. Do you want to discuss this or we can skip? Aditya, Shrey, Siddharth, Rizul, Tushar. Okay, see if there is no response. So we are having two.
That's,
Yes. Yes.
sir, this is extension handling.
Yes, this is exceptional handling. This is exceptional handling, and after that. After that. Okay, see here. So there is a one function add list, something is there, okay, and we are calling this res is equals to add list and input list one. That means we are passing this list here. Clear? So we are talking about this section of code. Okay, and we are passing this list. Hello from 1, 2, 3, this. Okay, so it will go in this program. And first it will check if is instant IP list. So it will check whether this is a list or not. Okay. If yes, then it will check this statement. What it will return, it will give you the empty string. If is in string the first element of this IP, that means list, is a string. Okay, so suppose we want to add all the elements of this list, but in this list we are having the string and the integer both together. We are having the integer and strings both together. So what you will do? So we will use is instance. Okay, it and using is instance we will check whether it is a string or not a string. Okay, so we are checking this is instance IP first is a string. If it is a string so it will return you the empty, otherwise it will return 0. Okay, so first character we have checked. Okay, now if is instance item comma int और item क्या है for item in IP or IP is this. So for item, so this is item. So item here is not integer. So this will not execute. Then second one is from. So this is again not integer. So it will not execute. So now third one is 1, 2, 3. Third one is 1, 2, 3. So if is instance item is integer, yes, it is integer. And item is greater than 200. No, it is not greater than 200. So we are adding only those integers which are greater than 200. We in a list we are having multiple data type, like we are having the strings and we are having the some numeric value as well. Okay, first thing. Second thing is we only want to add all the numeric values in the list. Third thing is we only want to add only those numeric value which are greater than 200. Okay, so using this, if is instance item comma integer, so I will check whether this is an integer or not. If it is an integer, then it will check whether it is a greater than 200 or not. Okay, so this is the purpose of this program. So I will add in my notes so you can have a look, and then we will discuss if you feel any difficulty in this. It is a little bit trickier, so I didn't discuss it in the last class. Clear?
Sir, in this topic, how many questions will come in at semester?
Okay, so this will cover your around 25 to 30%. No, you are talking about module 4 or just this topic?
This topic, only this topic.
So maybe you are having 10%.
1 or 2 questions.
10%, so there may be, if we are having 30 questions, then there may be around 3 questions.
So
Okay.
if we leave this topic any from
Sorry.
if we leave this topic or
So your wish, if you want to leave, you can.
little bit tough.
Okay. Yeah, if you wish, you can leave your wish. Yeah. Okay, now next is the raising actions. So see, I'm just recalling what we discussed. We discussed syntax error, then we discuss exception, then we discuss SYS module, then we discuss exception class. Okay. After that we discussed try except. After that we discussed try and multiple except. Okay. After that we discussed try except else finally. So this is the sequence that we discussed. Okay. This was the easiest one, syntax, import SYS module. We just need to remember one thing, exception class. So all the errors are inherited from the exception base class. Try except, except, try except else finally. Else में क्या? If there is no exception, then else statement will be executed. Finally will be executed always. Now one more. Now the next is the raising exceptions. Raising exceptions. So the raise statement allow the programmer to force a specified exceptions to occur. Okay. So it will force the programmer to force the programmer for a specified exceptions to occur. Okay. So the example here is this, RAISE raise, the name of that error and any message. Clear? Now this is the syntax here. This is the syntax. Now we will see the program. Now this is the program here. Okay. So in the try clause we are writing raise name error, this one, except clause name, this one, and exceptions and to determine, yeah. So in this program we are forcing the programmer for which error? For name error to raise. Clear? Okay, so see the program here. Okay, this is the here program. Try raise name error, raise name error. Yeah, so you can see we are having the name error as an exception. Clear? Okay, this program will be more appropriate. Okay, so see we are having an string Rohit. Okay, and in the try clause, what we are doing here, we are adding a string and a numeric value. In the string we are having Rohit, and in the numeric value we are having 85. Okay. So and we are writing accept type error, print an exception, raise value error, hide there. Okay. So just let me know what will happen in this case. What will happen here? See the code here. Last time what we discussed. See, last time if you remember, we were discussing this thing. Okay, string Rohit input 85. So we have taken these inputs and we were trying to add them. Okay, and so which error we were having? We were having the type error. Can only concatenate string and not integer to string, type error. Do you remember this code? Yesterday we discussed.
Yes, sir.
You know, so we were trying to add strings. We were trying to add a string and numeric value. Okay, so whenever we are trying to string with the numeric value, so it will give you the class type error can only concatenate a string to string, not integer. Okay, now in this section of code, see, so we are again trying to add a string and numeric value. Fine, we are trying to add a string and numeric value. Okay, so it will go in the type error because there is a type error, so it will go in the type error. Clear? And this statement will execute, an exception will execute. Okay, so you can see an exception. Now after that, what happened? After that what happened? We are raising an exception, value error. So we are forcing the programmer to raise which exception? We are forcing the programmer to raise value error. See, in this program we are having type error. We are having the type error. So this one. Okay, this one. Now after this, we are forcing the programmer to raise which error? Value error. Okay, so now you can see the statement here. During handling the above exception, another exception occurred. During handling the above exception, another exception occurred. And what is that exception? Value error. What is that exception? Value error. At what point? This point. So we are having value error, this and this message. Okay. So using this, we are forcing the programmer to raise an exception, a specified exception, you can say. Okay, clear? Okay, just have a 2-minute break and then think what is this. Okay. Okay. Abhay, Abhinav, Aditya, Advait, Akchet, Anurag. Anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
है ना? So see, I have written all the things sequence wise. Okay? So you need to start from the syntax error, then exception. After that, system module to raise exception, whether to check the class of the exception, whether it is a zero division error or anything else. After that, we have exception base class. So all the exceptions derived from that base exception base class. Final. After that, we discuss try and accept. That is okay. We can have multiple accept clause. So not only just one accept, we can have multiple accept. Clear? After that, we can also have else statement and we can also have final statement, finalize. Okay? Else statement will execute when there is no exception and finalize will execute whether there is an exception or there is no exception. So it will execute always. Okay? Next we are discussing what? Raise statement, RAISE. So it forces your programmer to raise a particular kind of exceptions. Okay, so in this program we were having a type error. That is okay, were having the type error, but now we are also raising value error. So with this error, we can say during handling the above exception, another exceptions occur. And what is this exception? Value error. This value error. Okay, one more example is there. One more example. So similar to the above program, the program that we discussed in the class notes, this program. Okay. So in this program, first input is an string and second input is an numeric value. Okay. Now what will happen if we, instead of inputting numeric value, if we input a string, then what will happen? It will give you in the value, it will give you the value error. If you remember, see, first input is okay, it is a string, this one. Okay. Second input, it is expecting some numeric value, okay, some integer, but then we are giving the string. Okay. So it is giving me the exception at this point. Okay. This will find we can add two numeric values, sorry, two strings, but here input is expecting an integer, but we are giving input as an string. Okay. So the same program I have written, but using the raise statement so that we can compare. Clear? So let's see, the first input is a string, okay, fine, no problem. The second input, you can see in the second input, it is expecting some numeric value, some integers, but we are giving a string. Okay. So it will give you what? It will give you value error, as discussed yesterday as well. It will give you value error. Okay. So accept value error. Okay. So this statement will execute. This is fine. This is from yesterday. Okay. So an exception, value error, invalid literal for int with base 10 agrawal. This. Okay, this is okay. Now during handling these exceptions, I am raising a particular exception, sorry. Okay. So I am forcing to display type error. So raise type error and any message, whatever you want to print. Okay. So it will give you during handling the above exception, another exceptions occurred. Okay. So what is that exception? That exception is type error. Okay. And the message, any message if you want to print. Okay. So these are the two examples. Clear? These examples are clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me check whether I have some. Okay, now if you remember in yesterday at the start of the class, I told you some we discussed file handling. Okay? And suppose if you are trying to open a file which is not available in your system, then what will happen? It will give you some, your syntax is correct, but it will give you some exception. It will give you some exceptions, am I right?
Yes, sir.
है ना? So just like suppose you are working, suppose you are using your operating system, and suppose you are trying to copy a file which is not available in your system. Graphically, not graphically, you are using some commands. If you remember, I have shown you some commands to copy one file from one location to another location. Okay. So graphically you can see whether the file is available in this system or not. Okay. But if you are trying to copy file from one location to another location using the commands like in Ubuntu operating system, Linux based operating system, and the file doesn't exist, so it will give you the exceptions, because syntax is correct. You have written the right command, but the problem is that you are trying to copy a file which is not in your system. Okay. So similarly here, see. So what the programs we did in the file handling, we can use try except clause as here, because you are trying to open a file and suppose you do not aware whether the file is exist in the system or not. So this can raise an exceptions. Okay. So you can write that sections of code like open my file, like open temp.txt, default mode is read. So I'm trying to open this file temp.txt. Okay, and this file is not in my system, so it will give you exception, and the name, the class of the exception is the OS error. OS stand for operating system. OS stand for operating system. Okay. So accept OS error as E, print type of E and comma E. Okay. So this is your code. See, so let me check whether my system is having temp.txt or not. Okay, so I do not have temp.txt file here. Clear. So yeah, so this error, OS error, print this class file not found error, this no such file or directory, this one. Clear. Now raise statement, what I did, what I used, raise runtime error from none. Whenever I write from none, whenever I write from none, then what will happen? Suppose I have removed this one, just now check the output. This is the output. Okay. Now I am writing this one. Okay. And now suppose you have removed this one. Now compare. It will display all the details during handling of the above program and other exceptions occurred, all these things. Okay. And whenever you just add this statement from none, then these details will be hidden. Okay. Clear. So this is just an information here. So you, if you want to use from none, you can use from none. Clear. So this one is clear. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what the programs you have we have discussed in the file handling, all the programs you can do with the try except. You just need to write the section of code in the try, but whenever you are opening a file, or else except, you can print the error. Okay. So this is for now. There is one more thing, but just take a 2-minute break and just ask your doubts. Otherwise, it will be too much. Okay. So till now we discussed here. Okay. Okay. So any question till now? This we already discussed. Okay. So any question till now? So for you, I have also created a table here. So these the list of the various exceptions are as follows. Exception name and their description is there. So you can use this table whenever needed. So till now is clear. Then can I move further? Hello.
You can.
Okay,
Yes.
because now this will be a little bit different what we discussed it till now. Okay. So now next we are using user defined exceptions. Okay. So in Python, user can define custom exceptions. We are defining our own exceptions by creating a new class. Okay, so we are creating a new, so we need to create a new class. So we already discussed this one, how to create a class. Okay. This exception class has to be derived either directly or indirectly from the built-in exception class. Okay, so this one I'm talking about this one. Okay, this class, the class that we are creating, directly or indirectly inherited from the exception class. So we need to use this bracket exception. Okay, because we already discussed all the exceptions are inherit from the exception base class. Okay, so this is already inbuilt in your Python, the exceptions base class, and all the exceptions, whether it is type value, whether it is zero division error or whatever exceptions is there, all the exceptions are inherit from this exception class. Okay, so if we are creating our own exceptions, we are creating our own custom exceptions, so we need to create a class, and this class should inherit from exception based class. So this is the syntax, just a syntax here. Okay, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will show you in the Jupyter notebook. See, देखो. So class, I am, this is my custom mm, exceptions. Okay, class error, and this is the exception that we are inheriting. Okay, so class error bracket exceptions and whatever you want to do. So I have written nothing, I have just written pass state. Okay, pass. One more I have created value too small error. Okay, so sometimes you want to raise some, suppose you are multiplying two number a into b, and you want to just raise some exceptions if the number are too small, not the error, you just want to raise the exceptions if the number are too small. So we are creating our own exceptions, value too small error. Okay, so here we can write our own section of
So this one
code.
can
Yes,
this ones can be used for passwords.
yes,
Like
yes,
password should be 8 characters or something like that.
yes, you can, yes, we can use this in the password. ठीक है, 8 character password minimum, so we can use. ठीक है, value too large error, so this thing also can be used in any type of purpose, like password also we can set the maximum length of the password as well. ठीक है, and you need to guess this number. So I have written, see the section of code here, so I'm trying to convince you actually. Here, okay, so I'm trying to convince. I have also written in the notes. See, yeah, so we are having, suppose one number, a number is 10. Okay, okay, and while true, so this section of code will executed while true. Are you matlab, we discussed these things, while state, while loop, do you remember? For
Yeah.
while, yeah, we discussed. Okay, so we are just taking an input from the users, and is equals to int input, enter a number, so you just enter some number here. Okay, if n is less than number, so this number is 10 here, and if whatever you enter, suppose you enter 5, so if this number is less than 10, so I'm raising what, value too small error. So I'm just going here this, I'm just going here in this. Okay, now I'm going directly here and see. So I'm entering this number 6. Okay, So my n is equals to 6. Now it will now go there and it will check if n is less than number, n is 6 less than, yes. So it will go inside and I'm raising what? Raise value to small error, raise value to small error, and in the code raise value to small error this. So I am just using, okay. So you are having this output, this value is too small, try again, okay. Okay, so this section of code, so if this is false, raise to value error, where is raise to value error? This except clause, raise to value error. So this will be executed. Okay, and for this raise to value, raise to small error, we need to create this class. We need to create this class. Got it? The predefined exceptions. If we are having the predefined exceptions, then we no need to create these class. Just like a zero division error or type value error. Okay. So if we are having the predefined exceptions and we want to raise that exceptions, then no problem. We can. Otherwise, if we want to raise our own exceptions, predefined or custom exceptions, we just need to create the class and the exception name, okay, exceptions name, and then we can use accept clause with that exceptions. Clear? This section of code is fine. So we discussed sequentially. I discussed exceptions, then I discussed a raise. After that, I am discussing custom exceptions because all the things need the previous topic. So this one need what? This one need exception class. Okay, and this also need raise that we discussed just before. Okay, so the study of the topic should be sequential. As an AK, you have just taken something randomly. Okay, so this is fine. This this section of code. Hello. Okay, I will try to show from here as well. Just a minute. See, we have just created 3 custom exceptions. First one is the error, second one is the value too small, and third one is the value too large. Okay. Uh, all the exceptions should directly or indirectly inherit from exceptions based class. Okay. So this exceptions I am inheriting from this exception class, and this exceptions I am inheriting from this class. Okay. So if you remember the multi-level inheritance, so this is just an example of that. Okay. So this section of code. So that means now we can use these exceptions, value too small error, value too large error in our accept clause. In our accept clause. Okay. Now coming to our code. Okay. So n is equals to int input. We just enter some number. If the number is less than 10, if the number is less than 10, we are raising value to small error. Else if number is greater than 10, we are adding value to large error. Okay. Else break. Okay. This. So using this, you can write the section of code for the password as well. So you can set 2 numbers. Number 1, that means the minimum length of the password, and number 2 will be the maximum length of the password. So you can write here n is less than number 1, that is password is too small, n is greater than 2, password is too large. So you cannot enter less than 8 or greater than 32. So I have just modified this program based on the suggestion of one of your. Okay, got it? So suppose I am entering 6. So this value is too small. Now I am entering 35. This value is too large. I am entering 76. This value is too large. I am entering 9. Now it will work fine. Congratulations, you guessed it right. Clear? So this is raise action. And in the next I think I have done. So I have just a list of all the exceptions in here. So in the next class, I can discuss all these exceptions, or otherwise I can upload this on the LMS. Okay, anything else?